Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the only podcast in all of e-commerce that we're aware of that features hundreds of success stories from the students who follow the systems taught on the podcast. Pretty cool way to validate your ideas, isn't it? Bring forward a parade of people who are using those ideas to build beautiful businesses and let them candidly share their stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, the successes, the great things that are happening, the strategies that are being used. That's what most episodes of this show are. It's a long parade. We're coming up on 1,000 episodes at this point, and the vast majority of them in this long parade of episodes have been success stories with the students who apply the lessons taught on this show and the strategies taught. So we see a lot of patterns around here. We've helped a lot of students. We've been doing e-commerce coaching for about 22 years at this point. That means we've coached nearly 10,000 people, and we see a lot of patterns emerge when we're talking to those people. One of the patterns that we see emerge frequently is questions. We get a lot of the same questions. We're quite proud of the fact in our Facebook group that's quickly approaching 80,000 members, completely free. We see a lot of the same questions asked over and over again. So among the core leadership team, there's about 100 of us that contribute in some way to the discussions in that forum, help moderate and help point people in the right direction. One of the things that we've noticed is a lot of new sellers ask the same questions. A lot of people who are drifting off onto a really bad path ask the same questions. One of the things we're very proud of is the fact that we will very gently and lovingly and in an encouraging fashion usher you back onto the strategies that we've seen proven to work time and time again. Are we saying they're easy? No, of course not. Are we saying there will be no blood, sweat, tears, risk, work, or sacrifice required? Of course not. Anyone who's telling you that you can do business without blood, sweat, tears, risk, work, and sacrifice, they're lying to you, trying to sell you something that's probably not going to work out very well in the end. But we have a very realistic approach to business here. We found what we believe to be the lowest hanging fruit e-commerce business model in the world. Lowest risk, lowest odds of losing your investment, lowest learning curve, most predictable, steady path to success, highest odds of success, actually, from anything that we've seen in my 22 years of e-commerce with multiple income streams. I've tried multiple strategies. We've taught multiple strategies. This is as good as it gets, and we haven't seen anything else that comes close. It's helping Amazon fill the underserved shelf space at their hundreds of US warehouses, millions of underserved listings on Amazon right now. And we prove it all day, every day. That's what we teach our students. But we do see a lot of the same questions over and over and over again from our students, from those in our free Facebook group, from those who found us yesterday after getting a whole bunch of bad advice from YouTube and other places and maybe expensive courses. And now they think they're asking the right questions. What they're really doing is giving us indicators that they're on a bad path. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. If you're asking any of these questions that I'm about to share with you, odds are you're on a bad path. You've made some bad decisions so far. Doesn't mean it's too late. Doesn't mean it's a hopeless lost case. But there's certainly no reason for you to throw good money after bad if you're on a bad path. So what are some of the questions that we hear asked that tell us, especially for newer sellers, that you're on a bad path? And maybe you're a more experienced seller, but you haven't made any money yet. Guess what? You're a new seller. If you haven't made money, significant money on Amazon yet, you're still a new seller. And you're in the category of people who should be very cautious if you find yourself asking any of these questions. So I'm going to give you the questions, then I'm going to give you the question you probably should be asking instead and usher you gently into a good direction. That's the goal today. So I've got a top 10 list of questions that we hear that indicate to us that someone's probably on a bad path with that setup. And by the way, if you want to get on the right path quickly at any point, get into the Proven Amazon course, provenamazoncourse.com. There's a link at silentjimdotcom. It's going to step you through, assuming you know nothing, and you can move fairly quickly through these steps if you do know a few things about Amazon selling. But we're going to lay a foundation for you that keeps you from getting derailed and falling off the course, making bad decisions, taking unnecessarily big risks. That's the purpose of this program, is to keep you from making big risks and to keep you moving towards earning significant income. But you're going to be earning while you're learning. That's the course. So let's get into the questions, all right? Enough of a setup. So the first one, What's a good source where I can go to find profitable products? I think we all started there at some point. What's a good source for profitable products is the question. If you ask that question in our group, if you ask that question in the comments to this podcast, for example, we're going to know that you're new, you don't know what questions you should be asking, and you think you're asking a really good, smart question, but you're not. You're just telling us that you're inexperienced with e-commerce. That's all you're telling us. You might as well be saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody tell me how to push a couple buttons and make money, please. It's the same question in our minds. And when we hear someone say, what's a good source for profitable products? Because the truth is, there's so many sources that you can't even begin to give someone a list. Every Walmart in the United States, walmart.com. Every Target store in the United States, target.com. Every legitimate wholesaler in the United States. Every legitimate retailer in the United States that's selling authorized inventory. Every single one of them, every shelf in that store has potentially profitable inventory that you could be selling. But instead of asking what sources, what you should be asking is, how can I best find the underserved shelf space at Amazon's hundreds of warehouses? How can I identify test-worthy ASINs on Amazon? Every listing on Amazon is called an ASIN, if you didn't know that, ASIN, ASIN. Do a search on Amazon sometime, a keyword search for ASIN, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a multi-length code, starts with B000 something typically, and it's an identifier for that listing. So I'll call it an ASIN for the rest of this podcast. Every ASIN is potentially an underserved ASIN once you know how to look at it through the lens of a trained seller in our community. We use a simple software called Keepa. I'm not going to get into what Keepa is. Go listen to podcast episode 369 for a very good education on what Keepa is, what it does, why it's so special and important and different. It's very inexpensive. It's only $20. We'll get more into how inexpensive this business really is to get proof of concept and to get started as a later question in this. But if you're asking, what's a good source for profitable products? Well, you're asking the wrong question. You should be asking instead, how can I locate underserved ASINs on Amazon? Or how can I locate the underserved shelf space at Amazon's hundreds of warehouses? Those are great questions. That means you've been listening and paying attention and getting good education as a new Amazon seller. Next, how can I win the buy box more often? I'm not winning the buy box. It's kind of the same as saying, where's the profitable products? But it's slightly more advanced. It means you've watched maybe 10 more YouTube videos than the person looking for profitable products. You think you got it figured out. I got to win the buy box. I got to win the buy box to win sales. You heard someone say it on a YouTube video. It sounded rational. So you locked in on that. And now you're obsessed with winning the buy box. Huge mistake. So huge, in fact, I'm going to give you a couple of resources that prove how big of a mistake that is. I've given in our Facebook group over the last year a couple hundred examples of ASINs that I'm selling on where I'm not winning the buy box ever, but I'm making sales, very profitable sales. In many cases, I'm the highest priced seller on that listing. Everyone else is fighting for the buy box. I'm up there in the fresh air, winning steady sales, never winning the buy box. So if you're trying to win the buy box as your sole focus as a reseller on Amazon, as a new seller, you've drawn way too small of a circle around the possibilities of what exists on Amazon. Couple links for you. These will be in the show notes as well. I want you to go look at silentjimdotcom/1000. Takes you right to a video. You can go through it. It's step by step to your first $1,000 day. It's one of my favorite examples from our community in the past few months. A guest on our podcast, his name's Amr. He shared how he sold 2,400 units very quickly of a product on Amazon as a new seller in our coaching program. He was the highest priced seller among over, get this, 200 other sellers on that same ASIN had prices better than his. And he sold 2,400 units. How is that possible? Well, he knew how to find underserved shelf space instead of just trying to win the buy box. He didn't win the buy box on any of those transactions, but he made 2,400 units fly off the shelves. How'd he do that? He found underserved shelf space. There weren't enough FBA sellers. There weren't enough sellers who had stocked Amazon's shelves with that product. Most people on that listing were merchant fulfill sellers trying to sell it out of their own garage. That meant the customer would have to wait 2 to 3 days or more minimum to get the product. Ummer knew that this is an underserved opportunity. He sent 2,400 units to Amazon's warehouse. Now, the shoppers who lived near those warehouses had the option for 2 to 4 hour delivery, and they were willing to pay several dollars more. And Ummer made a ton of sales as the highest priced seller among 200 sellers on that ASIN. Pretty cool story, right? Hopefully that starts to open up your eyes. If you're saying, I got to win the buy box, help me win the buy box, and you're focused and obsessed on the buy box, you're missing out on millions of underserved ASINs on Amazon right now. So I promised you 2 resources. One is silentjimdotcom/1000. I already mentioned that one, the number 1000, 4 digits. Go watch that video. The other one is a link in our free Facebook group to the 200 plus examples that I've given from my own selling account of ASINs where I'm selling above buy box and doing very, very well. Are we saying this is the only strategy you should use? Of course not. There's dozens of great ways to find great inventory for Amazon, but this is a very low risk way to start to get your feet wet, to send in a few units at a time and prove out just how expansive this opportunity is. And that link is silentjim.com/BB70. I'll stick that one in the show notes as well. I'm making a note for myself, so I'm sure to do that. BB as in buy box, and then the number 70. So that one's 4 digits long as well. BB70. Go check it out. It's a post that has lots of good links and references in it. You're going to absolutely love going through that. It's going to be a real eye opener. If you found yourself saying, how can I win the buy box? That's the wrong question. If you're obsessed with buy box only, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity. Nothing wrong with winning the buy box. I'm not anti that. If I can buy something for 10, sell it for 50 while winning the buy box, yeah, I'll do that all day, every day, right? But that's a shorter list of ASINs than is the ones that you can test a few ASINs, a few units at a time at a really high price and win sales without winning the buy box. And those ASINs are all over the place. Third question, how can I get ungated? I'm having so much trouble getting ungated. Here's another link for you. This takes you into a post in our free Facebook group. I won't spend a lot of time on this one, but silentjim.com/ungated. silentjim.com/ungated takes you right to a post. I'm going to make a note on that one too, so I don't forget. Takes you right to a post where we discuss the fact that gating will become less and less an issue after you've had a good number of transactions. Now, during the fourth quarter, which we happen to be in right now as I'm recording this, in the middle of December, hey, you're going to see a lot more gating on the most popular brands. It's just part of it, meaning Amazon will not let you sell the most popular things. Like right now, Lego is the big deal. People are freaking out, losing their minds. Lego's gated, oh no. Well, good news is that happens pretty much every year. The top 1 in 1,000, top 0.01% of all brands tend to lock down a little more on Amazon because Amazon doesn't want to ruin anyone's Christmas with an inexperienced seller selling the wrong product, accidentally selling a counterfeit product that they pulled off of some bargain bin basement shelf, and it's the wrong thing, or it's actually counterfeit and they didn't realize it. They accidentally, ruined someone's Christmas selling a counterfeit item. So Amazon gets a little picky about who's ungated for the most popular brands. It's not a big trend. There's not some big lockdown that's happening. Ungating is not some big new unruly monster that has to be dealt with. No, it's kind of always been this way, especially around fourth quarter. It happens a lot more. But if you just get some transactions on some of the hundreds of thousands of other brands, Amazon will begin to know, like, and trust you. And then even the most popular brands, you'll get ungated and you won't have to go buy 10 units and send in an invoice and all the nasty stuff that goes along with that. So when we hear people say, how do I get ungated? I'm gated in a lot of things. We know you're a newer seller. You're at least asking kind of the right question, but you don't have to buy 10, 50, or 100 units and send in an invoice. Just sell some things and you're going to see those gates start to come open for you. In some cases, far sooner than you might suspect. They can take some time, but the good news is, once you understand how to find underserved shelf space, there's so many products you can be selling. Even if you're breaking even, learning the ropes, those transactions are building towards Amazon, knowing, liking, and trusting you more. All right, let's keep it moving. Got to keep it moving here. Next, how can I boost my sales and sell more of my products? Well, if you're trying to sell your own product on Amazon as a new seller, that's a huge mistake. Got a link for you. It's going to be in the show notes. I'll stick it. It's a longer link. This one, I can't give you the shortcut for this one, but it's a discussion on why no new seller should ever be trying to sell their own products or a brand of a friend of theirs on Amazon. No new seller should try that. You need to start out trying to help Amazon fill the underserved shelf space in its hundreds of warehouses. That's the reselling model that we teach. So if you're new and trying to make more sales on your product, there's about a 5% chance of you ever doing well with that. You got to be either really lucky or super skilled or have some other advantages, have a big audience that loves your products, for example. Otherwise, you're going to struggle as a new seller. That's just the reality of it. And 95% of them wind up just losing money. That's why we don't teach private label, launch your own brand to new sellers. We just don't. Some people do. They got about a 5% success rate, the people who do. All right, what software will help me find a good niche on Amazon? Well, that's just a follow-up question to the one we already hit. Help me sell more of my product. No, you're going down the wrong road. New sellers should not try private label. Next question. What's the best way to have a hands-free Amazon business? I don't want to ever fill in the blank. I don't want to ever touch box tape. I don't want to ever touch a box. I don't ever go to a store. I don't want to ever shop online. I don't want to ever have to, whatever it is you don't want to do. The bigger your list of things you don't ever want to do, and the more aggressively you're trying to automate from day one, the lower your odds of eventual success. You need to get your hands dirty, ship a few boxes, learn the process, scale, then automate. Build the systems yourself, understand the systems yourself, and then put good people in charge. That's just the way it works. You need to understand the business, your local, unique relationships, opportunities, people you know, connections, wholesalers that are right there in your hometown, opportunities right under your nose. You're going to have to pursue those things, conversations, relationships, putting tape on a few boxes, and then very quickly begin to automate away from using tools and services that we introduce you to. Automate away from those things. Of course, we're all for that. But you don't start off saying, I'm never going to do this, never going to do that, I'll never do this, I'll never be the guy that sweeps the floor at night. No, you've got to be willing to do work to build a real business. And if that's not you, you're going to struggle to find any businesses out there where you can do well. It's just a reality. This is the lowest hanging fruit opportunity we found. But if you're saying, what's the best way to have it all hands-free as soon as possible? Slow down. You need to put in a few months of actually learning and doing the work yourself. That's just the way the world works. It's not just with Amazon. That's any business opportunity. Next, how can I find a good wholesaler? Well, wholesale isn't the magic button for new sellers. Some people think it is. It's just not. Good news, the Proven Wholesale Sourcing course, which is a separate course as I'm recording this, but within a couple of weeks, it's going to be added into the Proven Amazon course library. So it's just another great module in the library. It teaches you all you need to know about wholesale. But yet there's no need to start with wholesale. There's nothing magic about wholesale over retail that gives you an advantage. So newbies, you come in saying, hey, I want to skip the whole retail, reselling thing. I want to go straight to wholesale. Well, there's some things you need to learn there along the way. And your odds of losing some money goes up if you try to jump straight to wholesale. We've learned that lesson many times. You can transition very quickly, but you're probably not going to go straight to sourcing via wholesale. The impression you have that wholesale means I can buy in bulk and have a price advantage. No, not really. You're taking bigger risks than you should be. You're going to buy 500 units thinking, now I'm the big boy on this ASIN, and someone else buys 50,000 units tomorrow. And you haven't learned all your lessons yet about when you can and can't go deep. We teach new sellers all the time and experienced sellers alike. Inch deep, mile wide, meaning I've got a whole bunch of products that I can sell, and I'm only selling a few at a time of each of them. That's inch deep, mile wide. Too many new sellers go a mile deep and an inch wide. They get all excited about one product, and they go buy as much of it as they can at the cheapest possible price. Come to find out, one of any number of things goes wrong the next day, and they're stuck with the inventory. We don't like to see that. Diversification. Staying away from wholesale too soon, buying in bulk too soon. That could sink you. Just a couple more questions left. What's the best source if I want to source from China? Where should I trust Alibaba? Should I trust this vendor? No, if you're buying anything from China as a new seller trying to sell in the US, you're on the road to disaster almost 100% of the time. Yeah, almost 100% of the time. That's true. All right, final question. How much money will I need to get started? I heard it's expensive. It's just not. $20 a month for that software called Keepa that I told you about earlier. Now, there's 1,000 ways to use Keepa. Don't spin your wheels trying to learn everything you can possibly ever know about Keepa. There's a few basics you'll need to learn. We teach these things in the Proven Amazon course. We've also got our Keepa 360 class, which is about as comprehensive as a class as you'll ever find about what Keepa is, what it does, all the different features. You can find that at silentjimdotcom/360. Tremendous value in that course. It's taught by two of our great coaching leaders. But that Keepa, that software, is $20 a month. All right. So what are your expenses? There's 20. Then the proven Amazon course, $40 a month, 39. Let's round up, 40 a month. So we're at $60 a month. You've got the proven Amazon course. You've got Keepa. What else? You've got $40 a month for your pro Amazon seller account. You're going to need that. So 60 of those dollars aren't coming to us. They're going to Keepa and they're going to Amazon. $40 comes to us for all the training and education, the step-by-step hand-holding that you're going to need. That's it, $100 a month, all right? Got that? Let's go. You got 3 or 4 months worth of that, and you've got $500 to $1,000 or so for inventory as we get in here and start testing small and seeing how this works. That's it. It's not expensive. So if you're watching YouTube videos and they're telling you about these $3,000 to $5,000 courses and placing big orders for inventory, so you have a pricing advantage, trying to get you to buy in bulk. No, no, no. Those are all such unnecessary, huge risks. I say all the time, the way the internet changed the game over 20 years ago, coming up on 30 years ago, the way the internet changed the game was it's simply no longer necessary to take big risks financially and hope it works out later for you. You can earn while you learn. You can spend very little now, start earning and getting proof of concept before you take another step forward and scale as quickly as you'd like, but earn while you learn, minimizing your risks at each step. That's the strategies we teach here. So it's not expensive to get started. And if someone comes into our group and says, oh, I've only got 5,000, I've only got 15,000. I heard it costs 50,000 or more to start an Amazon business. No, no, no. Keep all that money in the bank. If you want to get a one-on-one coach, we do offer that as an option. If you're interested in that, we can do that. But that's not for everyone. It's only for people who are well-positioned and ready to go further faster. They've got a lot of margin in their life. They've got a lot of time, money margin. They've got business experience margin even, perhaps, that makes them a good fit, or they're at a season of life where coaching is a good fit, right? We need to have a conversation with you. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you're a good fit for coaching. We turn people down all the time. But that's the most you will ever spend getting Amazon going the right way, is getting our courses, content, or just getting into coaching, and we cover the expenses of all of your training. Your proven Amazon course is free, right? But we're not getting into all that. There'll be a link in the show notes to our coaching if you want to take a look at that. And I'll remind myself here to make a note to that. silentjim.com/book a call is where you go to set up a call, or you can text our team anytime. But those are the 10 questions that we hear the most often that indicate, and there's others, but those are the ones that indicate to us that this is not to be insulting, but a clueless newbie who's potentially about to make a really big mistake. And we'd love to help usher you back onto this proven path that has resulted not only in hundreds of success stories on this podcast, but way over 2,000 success posts in our free Facebook group. You can go scroll through the images in our Facebook group and you'll see people posting their charts and their results, celebrating their first win or celebrating their first $100,000 month. We celebrate together. We encourage each other. It's a place of positivity, camaraderie, support. We don't see each other as competitors. We're fellow business building warriors on a journey together, and we'd love for you to come join us. Very flexible business model that snaps in nicely into whatever time cracks you have in your schedule, and we'll help you build something beautiful. We'd love to do that with you. Come join us, the free Facebook group. Check out more free episodes of this podcast. Let's do this together. Thanks for joining me for this episode today, Warrior. We'll have many great episodes. If this is the first one you've heard, scroll back in time, listen to some of those great interviews that we've done with our successful students. I think you'll find that very encouraging. God bless you. We'll have another great episode for you very soon.